Now, student debt is an issue. It's soared to over $81 billion due to the rising cost of degrees, indexation. It's added another $3.4 billion to the outstanding loan total last financial year. This means that graduates are taking longer to pay back their student loans, Gary. And tax office data shows that the federal government is already writing off hundreds of millions of dollars in student debt, and it plans to write off another 2.2 billion. And if that's taxpayer money, and I do question what all this debt is for. Of course, they're very useful degrees to be studied, but we have so many junk degrees that really don't qualify the graduate for anything. They cost the taxpayers a fortune, and they sell false hope to the student as well.
Yeah, and I think in a lot of ways, some of these degrees become remedial therapy for people who are just bored in life because they know they, after they finish the degree, they just can ping off overseas and have a gap year, which lasts for five, and they never pay the debt back. So, look, spare me. I was one of the first people to ever go into the HEC scheme. I studied part time from 1987 onwards. So I was one of the first people to ever pay HECS. And yes, I was working part time. Oh, I was working and so I was studying part time. So I paid my debt off, I think 3 or 4% of my income. In fact, I think I overpaid it. They had to send me a refund at one stage. Little steps along the way. If you pay it off gradually, it's good. I know others who say, you know what, what's the debt for this year going to be? Well, I'm going to work my tail off over Christmas. I'm going to come up with the money up front. I get a discount for paying the HECS, the contribution to the overall cost of education early. So what about those people? People who actually have paid their debt off, people who saved up the money, paid the stuff up front. They really should be even more angry than you and I as taxpayers are. $81 billion of people who are basically bludging off the rest of us. Get on with the business of earning money out of the degree. If your degree was worth anything, you should be earning more than the average. Go and get that money and pay your debt off. Pay it off faster than you're required. I just, for the life of me, don't understand it. It's lousy, but I really worry that Labor and the Greens, that unofficial coalition you talk about, will want to do a Joe Biden and will want to pay and forgive those debts.
Yeah.
And that's going to cost all of us. Older people are living in misery, paying more for power, and we're going to give these people who've shirked their responsibility to pay off their debt a free pass. That is just wrong, but typical of Labor, typical of Labor.
Well, you need to be earning just over 54,000 per annum to start making any sort of payments on HEX. So some of
But you
the
can pay it earlier.
graduates,
You
if
can
they're
you can earn
working,
money
oh,
less
of
than that
course,
and
you
still
can.
start paying. I don't get it.
You can always opt to pay it earlier, but the
Exactly.
compulsory payment where they deduct it from your salary starts off at just over 54,000. So if you're working part time or if you're working casually, you can avoid paying it if you don't want to engage in full time work. Now, before you go, this is another bombshell story from Victoria with the builders of the North East Link, the most expensive road in Victorian history. There's allegations they've been coerced by the CFMEU into hiring casual workers earning $300,000 per annum to operate gantry cranes on the project instead of using full-time employees who a special North East Link pay deal would have covered. Is it any wonder, Gary, that this state is broke, the biggest state debt in the country, and we've got projects running late, running over budget? This particular road, Northeast Link, it started off costing 15.8 billion, which I would have thought was plenty already. It's already blown up to 26 billion, and God, who knows where it'll end up.
Well, they've institutionalised the same kind of approach in Queensland, for instance. So Victoria's debt is bad. Queensland's debt's just as bad. Per capita, they say, probably worse. But nevertheless, they've institutionalised it. 30 to 40% additional costs associated with building stuff in Queensland. And so people are building stuff in Victoria and New South Wales in particular because it's actually, you're going to get bang for your buck. But they are now, the CFMEU are now saying to private companies, if you don't hire a union person, if you don't follow our rules and pay at the 30 to 40% above the rack rate, we won't allow you to get any work here. So companies are making decisions. They're going elsewhere. They're going to South Australia, to Western Australia. They're just getting the heck out And some are not even bidding for jobs. We've got 60,000 house sites sitting there waiting for someone to start building on in southeast Queensland. That's the figure today that I was given, 60,000, but they can't find anybody to build it because all of these added on costs. So Victoria is the place to flee. It really is. That's what the number plate should read. Victoria, the place to flee. I just hope the Lions win on Saturday. That's all I care about now, Rita.
Are you coming down for it, Gary?
Only in my heart and my mind. I will be spiritually there, Rita.
Spiritually. You know what? People think it's going to be easy to get a grand final ticket because it's Sydney, Brisbane. It's not. It's going to be just as hard as any other grand final. But I'm with you. I'm all in on Brisbane, especially after the hell they dragged Chris Fagan through for the last couple of years. I really hope he comes out as the premiership coach. Gary Hardgrave, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Cheers, Rita.